Happy May the 4th, everybody. It's been a while since I've done some more long-form content, but I'm very excited to get back into it, and I want to celebrate Star Wars Day with going over one of my favorite Star Wars characters and talking about my appreciation for the comics that he came from. And as you can see, we've got a lot of old school trades here. It really encompasses the era of the comics after Star Wars Episode 1 and the era between Episode 2 and Episode 3, so the Clone Wars. And this character's name, for anybody who doesn't know, is Quinlan Vos.
Hey, Commander, looking good? Kenobi, you look worse for wear. How's temple life?
Quinlan Vos, you might know him if you've seen Star Wars The Clone Wars. He had a couple of episodes where he was in there, but he is a Jedi that is kind of the biggest in-betweener of all the Jedis on the Jedi Council. He uses a green lightsaber. Fun fact. Quinlan Vos, his journey through these comic books is one of the most understated and underrated for any Star Wars character, I think. He goes through a lot in these many issues, often written by the legendary John Ostrander, who, if you don't know, created the Suicide Squad, and with the help of the amazing Jan Duursema on art. And if you've never seen her art, I'm going to be showcasing it throughout this video. It is quite amazing to look at the entire way through. Quinlan Vos's journey really encompasses kind of a dark hero's journey that Star Wars is very much known for, you know, especially with Luke Skywalker and Rey Skywalker. Vos sort of starts out after the Phantom Menace doing campaigns for the Jedi during the Phantom Menace and the Clone Wars, kind of learning and investigating about various things that the Separatists are doing. And he has an apprentice who you might know from Episode 3 named Aayla Secura. She's also in the Clone Wars. Getting to see their relationship build is really interesting. It's not really a apprentice-master relationship. It's more of like a father-daughter, sometimes in-betweening to a romantic relationship. I really love how during one of the arcs, Vos has to go rescue her, and you really get to see how they play up into their relationship and how they feel about each other, what their future could be, even though the Jedi Code states that they can't date anybody, let alone other Jedis. It's really where you start to see Vos kind of disagree with where the Jedi's heads are, and you start to see him kind of become more of an in-betweener. And for anybody who doesn't know, Vos's insane Jedi power is that he can touch objects and view memories and events associated with those objects. And that's a big reason why the Jedi and the Sith are scared of him, because he can find the truth just through objects, whether they like it or not. And kind of seeing his story play out through all of these trades, you really start to appreciate the cohesion of the Clone Wars multimedia project. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, after Star Wars Episode 2 came out, George Lucas created this multimedia project to kind of house all of these different stories that were taking place in between Episodes 2 and 3. So you had the Clone Wars comic books, you had Clone Wars expanded universe novels, Clone Wars centric video games, and with this Clone Wars multimedia project comes a lot of different crossover between characters that you didn't really know about in the films. They might have been in the background or had a couple of lines.
What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?
You really start to learn about and love these characters, and they really do have distinct personalities from one another. That's something that the movies never really got to show off. Or even the Gennady Tartakovsky micro-series that aired on Cartoon Network that led into Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So going kind of back to Vos's journey, one of the biggest plot points is he starts to secretly work for the Sith. And the Jedi think he's a double agent, and the Sith think he's also a double agent for them. Even you, as the reader, really don't know where his intentions lie. And he starts to get the Sith eyes. He starts doing dirty work for the Sith. He's never fully committed to them. He's sort of a Count Dooku number 2, if that makes any sense. And the fact that he really does not let on anything to anybody is kind of the scariest part as a reader, because you don't know if this guy is going to become evil or not. especially since he doesn't really have much presence in the movies besides a cameo in episode 1. And there was also a deleted scene where he was freaking decimated by the clones on Kashyyyk. Which that kind of plays into the last arc in his story during the Clone Wars comics. Vos is on Kashyyyk helping out Luminara Unduli and Yoda during the battle between the Separatists and the Wookiees. After Order 66 happens, Luminara Unduli is killed, and Vos is able to escape. She kind of used herself as a proxy sacrifice for Vos to escape. And throughout this entire series, Vos has a love interest, and they end up reuniting on Kashyyyk and finding out that she is pregnant. It really shows that the Jedi Order will continue one way or another because these Jedi are having kids again, and he's probably going to promote his beliefs to his child. These Dark Horse Star Wars comics, man, they were so good. And it's really a shame that no one seems to have enjoyed a lot of the prequel era storytelling when it was happening. Even if you didn't like the movies, there was a lot of content around them that was really interesting, insightful, different. And you really got to expand the lore and see how much stuff played out in the background between the movies. And I'm not saying reading a book should be a prerequisite for a movie, but for those fans that really enjoy the material and really want to see what more they can get out of it, you definitely can't go wrong with these Clone Wars comics. Just kind of saying something personal about these. The way that I was able to get my hands on these was from an amazing eBay seller that was selling them all at once for a very, very cheap price. And a lot of these have been out of print for years. It's not going to be until the early part of next year when they're finally put back in print by Marvel in an omnibus format, which go buy it if you have the chance. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. I bought it from that eBay seller, and I read it all during a kind of transitional year in my life where I didn't know where I was really going. I didn't know what job was going to be had for me within the next couple of months. I mean, even weeks at that point. And being able to kind of perform this escapism with this amazing material is something that I will always associate it with, and I thank it for that very much, even though it was many years after it was published. This overarching story playing out really is something that I think anybody should read if they have the chance to. Like I said earlier, get the omnibus when it comes out in January. It is going to be an amazing read from start to finish for you. I can guarantee that. Like I said, everybody, happy May the 4th. I'm glad you could join me. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I really want you to check out the other content that I have on this YouTube channel. You can also follow my TikTok and my Instagram. It's the same exact handle as it is on YouTube. I'm glad you could join and stick around for a little bit, talk about my love for Star Wars comics and Quinlan Vos in particular. I hope you guys have a good one.